Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 185 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today we're going to talk about something a little new and different, levels of consciousness. We're focusing on mental health and well-being all this month, and I'm going to describe 5 different levels of consciousness and a process then for how we go from one to the other. And our action item today is going to be to ask ourselves, where are we on this level of consciousness? Not where do we want to be, but where are we right now today, this moment? And I'm going to read some cues for each level about the current focus, the core focus of what you're focusing on, the typical thoughts and emotions related with that level, and then the mental health patterns that you'll start to see. And we're all about looking for patterns in our behavior and in our level of consciousness in order to be continually ascending and moving up, right? We always want to be growing and developing and becoming a better human being. And part of that is going through these levels of consciousness. First level is, of course, survival mode. And it has to do with immediate safety. Am I safe? And so the fight or flight is always that questioning that. Typical thoughts are, I must protect myself. Anxiety, panic, and rumination tends to be a part of this level of awareness and consciousness. Mental health pattern, hypervigilant, chronic stress, and trouble sleeping. So if that describes you, that's the level you're at, survival. Level 2 is conformity. And this is the core focus here is meeting other people's expectations and social expectations and roles. Typical thoughts are, I should fit in. Worry, comparison, and frustration show up here. Mental health patterns, imposter feelings, low self-esteem, and burnout. So if that sounds like you, just make a little note of it. The third is self-awareness, reflective. Actually, conformity is automatic and survival is reactive. So this is the general way we behave and respond. So we can see ourselves doing it. If we're reacting, and I do this sometimes, we all ebb and flow from each and every one of these levels. You can be in all these different levels in a single day. At least I have figured out a way to. So automatic conformity. Third is self-awareness, reflective, and that's where we start to understand our inner world and that we are actually, there's a bigger us driving us to do, be, think, say, and believe different things. It's an understanding of our inner world. The typical thoughts and emotions are, why do I feel this way? Curiosity and honesty show up here. The mental health pattern that we often see is therapy and journaling. Gaining traction, emotional regulation improves. As we become aware of what's going on with us and why we're reacting and responding to different triggers and things that happen in our life, we'll start to find ways to say, yeah, I used to react that way, but how am I going to react that now? Fourth is growth and flow. This is integration. Its core features are continuous learning and purpose. The typical thoughts are, how can I serve and grow? Optimism and engagement show up at this level. And our mental health pattern tends to be high resilience, peak experiences, and fewer mood swings. And then 5, transpersonal, is unity. Transpersonal core focus is connection to something larger like nature, humanity, spirit, source, etc., whatever you call it, God. Typical thoughts and emotions, we are all interconnected. Gratitude, compassion, calm, and joy are emotions that show up and thoughts that show up often in this level of consciousness. And the mental health pattern is stable well-being, pro-social focus, and reduced fear of uncertainty, right? Uncertainty plays a huge role in all of our lives, believe it or not. Just think to how you responded and reacted during the COVID pandemic. That tells us a lot about ourselves. Is when things go to poop, what do we do? How do we respond and react? You can picture these levels like rungs on a ladder, and we climb up the ladder and down the ladder and up the ladder and down the ladder. But our purpose is to get on the roof so that we're always in a transpersonal state. So we're always realizing and responding in ways that are best for us and not reacting. So let me give you somebody's example of this. Maria is moving from survival to self-awareness. And for a little context, she was laid off unexpectedly. Anybody ever have that happen to them? Yeah, more than once. Maria spiraled into level 1, constant worry about rent and self-worth. her shift was that she joined a free community counseling program that taught her about grounding breath work, and then she began nightly journaling. The outcome was, by naming triggers and planning micro actions, she climbed to level 3. Anxiety attacks dropped from weekly to rare, and she felt confident enough to start a part-time freelance gig. So she wasn't waiting for the universe to hand her something. She went out and made it happen. And that's one of the things that happens as we move from survival mode to self-awareness. So what are we going to do with this? How do we put this into practice? Number one, identify your current home base. Where are you at right now on this 5 levels? Survival, conformity, awareness, growth, flow, or transpersonal. I wrote transparency in my notes. That's why I keep trying to say it. Choose an upward micro habit. So identify where you are and then pick one thing that can move you up to the next level. Just one little habit, one thing. So for example, if you're in survival, try doing 60 seconds of breath work. If you're in conformity, try 5-minute self-check-in. Ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? It's one of my favorite questions, by the way, because most people can't answer it. If you're in self-awareness, do daily gratitude lists. Have a gratitude journal. How many times have I said that in the last 8 years? Or a strengths spotting. Pay attention to when you do things well throughout the day and give yourself credit for it and be aware of it in the present moment. And then finally, if you're in growth, try structured learning. Set a structured learning goal. Maybe you're going to read 10 pages a day, or take an online course, or listen to a webinar or a seminar or something in an area that you're interested in. Anything that is personal growth to you and gets you connected. We spent all last month talking about contributions, so you know what to do. If you don't, call me and ask, right? Or text me and ask, or message me and ask. And then we're going to reflect weekly on this. We're going to say which levels showed up most this week, why might that be, and what am I going to do about it? And then again, put a micro habit in place to counteract that so you can move up a level. If you need support, get support. Find a support group. Get a therapist. Phone a friend. Get in a mentoring program. Mentorship and anything coaching helps us to accelerate between the levels and move up really, really quickly. So remember, levels are not labels. They're just lenses that we can see through to be more self-aware and decide what we're at and what we need to do next. If you can develop the skill of doing the next thing, knowing what to do next, and not having to know and see everything, but taking the next step that's in the right direction for you, that will put you light years ahead of the pace that you're at right now in terms of personal development and growth. At least in my opinion and experience, it showed up that way. All right, any questions? Ask. Otherwise, have a great 4th of July, and I will be with you tomorrow. Bye. Happy birthday, America. Should have a flag.